Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me is an old friend, Tom Thiel, who is 4 years past president of the chapter, Korean War Veterans Chapter 169 here in Leesburg.
Right.
Now your understudy, he's the new president.
Yes.
Wally Jones, welcome to the show, Wally.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. So you're taking over now. Where are you from originally, Wally?
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been down here in Florida now for about 11 years. Mm-hmm. And I came into the chapter unexpectedly. I make name badges, and Tom was asking me to come to talk about name badges, not knowing I was a veteran or anything else. So when I got there, I realized, holy smokes, it's Korean veterans. I said, well, I'm a veteran. And so that day I joined up, got my cap and everything else, my picture. And then before you know it, I was in the color guard. And I enjoyed that. And I joined in several events that they had and so forth. But then as we got to the election time, because now the 4 years were up for Tom, they were looking for a president. And so they asked if I would be involved in getting an election. I said, okay, I'll do it, because I wanted to see the chapter go forward. And so here I am, president.
It's a great chapter, too. How many members are strong?
Well, I think we have about 86 now, and we're going to continue with that. We're really researching to get more people. We have 550 names that we're going to be calling. In fact, we just got that list from Don Van Beck, who, through the memorial, he found names, and he could find contact numbers as well. So I'm now just instituted a new team to call those numbers, mm-hmm. And I have a fellow by the name of Art Burke who's going to be running that.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Burke. I know Mr. Burke. He's been on this show, too. He's an amazing man.
Well, he volunteered. He's one of the first to volunteer to call, and so I said, what the heck? I'll call Art. I called Art and said, would you mind taking this over and running it and doing it? And I said, it's a long list. 550 names, a lot of numbers to call. So he said, sure, I'll do it. And so as of last night, he now has the whole list.
He's an amazing man. He's like 94 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's been on the show, and he told me about his life of being a native Floridian and all that. But anyway, I'm glad you're on the show. And yes. Were you Army? Or
I was Army. I was 1st Cav Division.
When were you there?
I was in there from 1952 to 54. And I was never in Korea. I was sent over there from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and my basic training is artillery. And by happenstance, I ended up going to Japan in the 1st Cav, but I didn't go into fire direction training. I became a military policeman in Sapporo, Japan. Mm-hmm. And I was in Sapporo. Our unit was in Sapporo simply because they got shot up in Korea, and they were there for rehab. And of course, I was there 6 months, and then the war ended, so they never got sent back. But I had volunteered to be a night guard on our trip north from Camp Drake, and I never expected anything from that either. I just was helping out. You couldn't get any sleep anyway because sounds were blaring and everything else, replacement detail. And the lieutenant there next morning said, I'm gonna do something for you for doing that for me. Well, we're all on a train going north, and then you go on a ferry and a train. Everybody else had orders except me. Next thing I know, when I landed, they said, we're going over here, going to be the military police. So that's basically where I landed.
Well, thank you for your service. And Tom, you are no longer the president, but you're still very active, my friend. I know you.
Well, Well, he's the life and breath of the chapter.
I can agree with you.
There's no two ways about it.
I agree with you.
He's, even though I'm president, he's been very helpful on everything we've been doing. And I'm doing things just a little different than Tom did, because Tom was involved in doing most everything, and I'm not doing that.
I'm sure he appreciates the help,
Oh, somehow I still am involved in most everything.
Oh, he is. He's very
involved. It's in your blood, man. You can't help it.
Oh, he is, and that's very helpful. I mean, that's what's going to keep it going, is that push that he has.
Yeah.
And but I'm trying to get as many more members involved as I can. And I've found some people are really willing to join in. Like Art, I didn't know Art really very well at all, except for him raising his hand, saying he'd volunteer. And we had a nice conversation. and really he would like to really get involved in doing it. And so I said, sure, let's do it.
Well, I can speak from experience because I have become an honorary member, or somebody say honorary, honorary member of the chapter. And I've gotten to know a lot of the men and the women in the chapter, and it's a tremendous group.
Yes.
And anybody out there that wants to join, where do they go?
Well, we're putting out flyers all over, and when we collect money, as a matter of fact, we have applications right there for them, and we're putting ads in papers about asking people to join in, and this is done regularly. It's done right every day, every week. I think we're doing this. Yeah. So there's ads in the paper for it, and
well, this is not newspaper. This is television. So where do you meet? And a phone number or something. We can get it right out there right now. Who do you want to call if you want to become a member of the chapter?
Well, he's got my name in there and my telephone number. And of course, it's Wally Jones. My number is 904-716-3360. I can give you another number, which would be even easier, 800-400-5959.
And that'll get you information about...
And we'll give them the information, how to meet, where to meet, and so forth.
Tom, when you meet?
We meet every fourth Wednesday at 2 o'clock at the Leesburg Senior Center, which is on Penn Avenue.
Yeah, Penn Street.
Just off Griffin Road.
Off Griffin, yes.
And the other place where we put out availability of not only how to join, who we are, but a lot of the activities that we also have underway, such as Telamerica, is on the website, which is www.cid169.kwva.org. So,
you put out a publication called Scuttlebutt.
And we put out a publication called The Scuttlebutt, and it's also available on the website. So,
one of the big things you do is this Telamerica. And we have a collage up there that is you, right?
This is me. This is me. Let me tell you just a tad about Telamerica. It's a program that the Korean War Veterans Association has had since its existence, which has been, it's not 20 years yet. I think it was formed in 1980s, late 1980s. But they have a program called the Telamerica program. And I'm sure it came from the concept that the Korean War was a forgotten war. It's a little less forgotten today, maybe through some of our efforts. But it's designed to tell America the who, what, when, and we add the so what of the Korean War. We have focused on going and meeting with students. And we've integrated the program of Telling America with our concept for raising monies for Telamerica and other activities. We call even those our fund drive, Telamerica fund drives, because we pass out literature that informs America about the Korean War. And we mainly go to high schools with some middle schools. We've been to Leesburg High School. We've been to Eustis and Mount Dora. We're there Monday at Mount Dora. And we're slated to go back to Eustis on May 20-something. Not May, yeah, May 20-something.
Yeah.
And each one is different. They've all grown as we've gotten into it. We have a team of about 10 or 12 people chapter members who are interested in participating in the program and like to go. And we will meet with classes through the ROTC program. Chief Dixon here at Leesburg, Colonel Ron Richards at Mount Dora, and Cangelosi at Eustis. And each one of them brings something special to the program themselves as well. For example, when we went to Eustis first time last year, the Colonel had brought in classes from history, English, and some other departments at school. Mm-hmm. And not only that, I think he arranged for 4 or 5 classes. We were exhausted by the time we got out of there. And still more, A week later, they called us and asked us if we would come back individually and be interviewed by their students. And that was tape recorded and is in the process of going to a DVD. I'm not sure where that DVD is. When we go to these schools, we try to take materials. I take exhibit materials. This is my photo story of starting with basic training and going overseas. There's my ship overseas. And this is
That handsome man there, that's you, huh?
That's me in December 1951 in Tokyo. And this is some of the weapons that I was assigned with, the 57 recoilless and the 3.5 inch rocket launcher. This is how I lived in the Hill.
Your accommodations weren't that great, were they?
I never spent a night under a roof in Korea.
Really?
I never slept off the ground in my 8 or so months there. Most of the time it was in the ground. You know, pictures like Mass, this is one of the hills.
Yeah, it's a mass on the hood of a Jeep, you were telling me.
Right, yeah.
Because they didn't have a church or a chapel.
And so, and you notice the seats were our helmets. This is the only picture of me as a sergeant first class. That was in front of my bunker at the last time. But it's more about the kids.
It must be an eye-opener to these kids to see, you know, what you guys all went through, you know?
Well, they're very interested, and
You get feedback from them?
oh,
Do you?
We try to open the program by giving them like a 5-minute introduction or so to the Korean War itself, when it started, a little bit about Korea before the war, and how the war progressed, and and that's about all. Then each person will present, depending upon the amount of time and the number of people, a very short presentation of their experiences. I ask them all to bring things. Jimmy Corbett now brings a suitcase full of exhibits, a shovel and things like that.
Yeah,
And they
he's
like
an
that.
interesting guy too, right? He's been on the show, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And plus his wife was a military.
Yeah, and she's also a member. She's actually our treasurer. But we went to St. Paul's here in Leesburg recently, and that's St. Paul's School in our group of people. And in the past, they've been having they're really ask their kids to give their kids incentive to pay attention to us. And in the past, they've been writing us essays, and we get about 65 essays to read. This year, they decided to do collages, and these were some of the best collages. Is actually with one of our members, and he's going to present it to an adult group at Villages on Wednesday of coming week. But this is one of the ones that we have. It's kind of very neatly done, and it's designed to tell a story of the Korean War.
Now this is done by the
students themselves.
Oh, really? Wow, that's nice.
But it was done in paper form. I photographed.
Oh, I know.
Let me butt in here a minute. We had our member meeting, and Tom called some people to go in the back of the room after the meeting. So I happened to go back in that room, and I was knocked over. Here's all these collages all around the room. How many would you have? About 100 maybe?
No, about 65.
But it was and each one was interesting. They'd all been graded by the teachers, by the way, but these folks picked out the ones they liked the most for the top 3. But I was just wowed about what these kids had done, because they had to really put themselves into it to make it happen.
Yeah.
And they did.
This is a great program.
And,
you know,
so I wrote Tom a message. I said, Tom, I was knocked over by what I saw in that back room, and I said, now all these fundraisers we're going to make sense, because we're giving money to the schools, which in turn they let us go into the schools that Tom was doing all this work and present to the kids what's happening, happened in the Korean War, really what kind of happens in the military overall, And I said, I think it's a marvelous thing, because now they have an education they would never get from strictly academics. They would just never get it. And I think they have a little different opinion about life, too, because of that. And I'd like to see this kind of thing go on with everybody that's been in a war of some kind. We have a bunch of them that have been in, that the veterans would go to the schools and show the kids what's really happening.
Yeah.
Because they do not understand that. They don't even know what even happened most of the time. So I think it's a marvelous, marvelous program. And I think he's done just a terrific job with it. So.
Oh, I know he has, yeah. Do you award prizes, or?
We generally, only at St. Paul has this, have we given prizes. Some others have essay contests throughout the schools, and we never introduced it. Except that, I don't know if I've mentioned it, at Eustis, when we went last year, they invited us to come back for the interviews. This was a rewarding experience for about 17 of our members. And I went and met with 4 students. Mm-hmm. And then there was a photographer and a sound man. And we were there for over an hour. And the kids all came with prepared questions, a list of prepared questions. And they started on those questions, but in our answers, and I think everybody did this, we took it into our experiences, and that's what they wanted to hear. And we got into discussions with these young people that they're beyond belief, not only about the Korean War, but about life in general. And, you know, you get any question and you can't imagine, what's it like to be shot? Do you have the Purple Heart? Do you kill anybody?
Those are tough questions.
Yeah.
But on a limited basis, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
I had a kid last Monday talk to me about his brother's friend. His brother was in Afghanistan, as was his brother's friend. Mm-hmm. And his brother's friend committed suicide. And this kid had questions about that. And all I could do was try to advise him to address it himself, but at least try to be cognizant of the fact that if he didn't feel he was adequately meeting that, he should try to get help.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, the number of suicides is way up there. And there's been such a tremendous strain on our men and women in uniform. 4, 5, 6 deployments, you know, it's, you can't say enough for them.
Well, I'd never had anything that came close to that before. Most were, I had a little girl one time at Carver say to me very quietly, "Did you use a Tommy?" And I said to all the other kids,
Excuse me.
These are middle schoolers, and I said, "Did you hear what she said?" And one kid said, "Yeah, she asked if he used a Thompson submachine gun." So, you know, you ask them if they're going in the military. I do that a lot, and a lot of them are, and I say, why? Sometimes they will say, because my grandfather or my father, but most of them are interested in education.
It's a great place to get an education.
And I really encourage them to do it.
Well, I did that too, where I interviewed once, where I interviewed with the kids for a couple of hours. Of course, I hadn't been in combat, so I couldn't answer any questions about that. But they asked everything in the world about me, what I was doing, where I was going, you know, what have I been doing in my civilian life and all that sort of thing. I guess the outcome I mostly got out of that was the bright eyes that were looking at me and the questions they were asking. I had three kids asking me questions. And I was really appreciative of how bright young kids, and how bright they're looking at me and the questions they were asking. You know darn well they're going to do well within their life because of their interest in that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, I used to do a program up north. You know, I used to go to 8th grade. I did it for like 12 years or something like that. When I first did it, kids didn't really know much of anything. But I don't know whether it was the teachers, but over the years, some of the questions I would ask them, they knew the answer to. Before that, nobody knew the answer. The first time I went there, I asked the kid, what is MIA POW? He goes, Mia Pow. I said, do you know what it means? They didn't know. But you know, what you guys are doing and the other chapters is great because it opens people's eyes. You don't teach this stuff in the history books. You know, well, John Paul Jones and Paul Revere's ride, but they don't talk much about Korea, Vietnam, or any of that other stuff.
They may get one day, one class coverage of the Korean War itself. The POW MIA thing is something that I really need to add more to ours. The other thing I would comment is that we're getting too old to do it. It's a struggle now to go between campus buildings for me. Get
you a motorcycle.
No, when we went to Eustis earlier this year, in January, they used their golf carts to haul us back and forth to lunch, and I very much appreciated that. But it's a real rewarding program, but it's really not all that we do in our chapter. I mean, we have some other activities. Our color guard activity is quite good. Our color guard folks visited a gentleman in a Wildwood nursing home till he passed away this last year. So we do some of that. We should do more of that.
Yeah, we do attend a lot of things with the color guards, flag raising.
Yeah, I know you've been there with the monument dedication down there in the villages with the 9/11 monument that they put in there. And I've seen you at, what is it, Wreaths Across America. I've seen some of you guys there too.
Well, we are the color guard of record at the Villages Veterans Memorial Park. We've been doing that for 10 or 12 years. Yeah. And then events that we hold here at the Veterans Memorial at Fountain Park.
Right. We held an armistice. We've had two armistice ceremonies. Dwight did the first one, and I did the second one. And now we have a third one with our canal doing that. It's coming up.
That's going to be July 27th,
July
right?
27th, right. So everybody's invited to come to that right here at the memorial at Fountain Park in Leesburg. And there's a lot that goes into that, getting it all prepared, getting a speaker, and getting all the nuances set up for that. But we're doing it again, and I think it's a good way to present to the public what we've done, where we're going. The public is really interested. Once they realize that you're there, they're really interested to come and see what's happening. Yeah.
You have made a connection with the Korean families, and
in fact, Joe Rue is the person that called me while I came in here. We have gradually. Well, let me back up and say that a lot of our fellow chapters, sister chapters, for example, the one in Altamont Springs, has regularly met with the Korean community in Altamont Springs, in that area. And they are invited to a church there, and the church sponsors a dinner for them. And the Koreans are very appreciative of what we have done for South Korea 60 years ago. So the thing that's most exciting is coming up real soon. We're going to be meeting with, we've been invited to the Korean Baptist Church in Ocala. We've got about 65 people going to that. And this is our first event for us locally. That was one of my goals during my 4 years as president, to establish a relationship with the Korean community. And it really took that long to get it going, and we're really looking forward to that. I don't know what else.
South Koreans are very appreciative of what was done over there, very much so. In my civilian life, I used to travel over there every so often for business. And then the red carpet was open for everywhere I went. I was looking back at pictures here. I was over there one time on my birthday, and they had a huge birthday party for me.
Really?
Just because I was American. Of course, they knew I'd been in the Vietnam or the Korean War, but they were very pleasant about everything. They are a true beacon of freedom in South Korea, and they're like a second America over there. Only they're Korean. So
they are very modernized compared to North Korea, from what I've read and stuff.
Gosh. Yeah.
You know, and they are very appreciative. In fact, we've had one of your members on the show before talk about the trip that they went back to South Korea.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know?
Art, Al?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was very. I mean, they invite you back, and
Not only do they invite you, they pay all your expenses in Korea. They pay half of the airfare of the veteran and a third of the airfare of the veteran's companion. So that's really all that you need to pay to go. People have been trying to drag me back. It's the travel. I'd like to actually go, but it's kind of interesting.
do it.
It's kind of interesting. We have members who were in units, first Cav unit actually, at Unsan, who he was one of like 20 out of a company of 200 to come back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shot up very badly. Yeah.
And he never went back to Korea. He was, you know, all of us came back and we didn't really talk very much about our experiences to anybody. My family tells me, Dad, you never said anything about this. And it's only been the last 10 years or so that I have gotten to do it at all. And this gentleman, who is a member, went back and he said it totally transformed me to see what South Korea had become and what our sacrifices meant. And so we have a large number of folks like that. It's kind of interesting that this June 25th will be the 60, I don't know for sure.
60.
No, it'll be 65th, I think, or 4th or 3rd anniversary of the start of the war.
Oh, the start of it. Well, it'd be, you have to subtract, add 3 years, 63rd.
63rd.
Yeah.
And it's the 60th, the anniversary of the ceasefire is on July 27th. And that's where we're going to have some recognition here ourselves.
At the Memorial Park, Fountain Park.
There's going to be a huge celebration in Washington, D.C. I mean, they're talking in hundreds of thousands of people there.
Yeah.
And some of our people are going. Harold is going, and you've had Harold on
So
the show.
there'll be more out on that because I don't know how to tell you guys this. I enjoy always being with you guys. I got about a minute. That's all we got left. We're running out of time. But I know you do a lot of good fundraisers to help support this.
Yes.
And I know you have a pin that you sell too. Are you for donation? I don't see either
it's a
one of you
pin-
wearing
it's a pin
one.
that, one of our-
There it is. There it is.
One of our
So-
members came up with the idea of having a pin that you can wear in your lapel.
Yeah, and
And,
it's a beautiful pin. You go around to different shopping centers and stuff, and with
Especially to public stores.
public stores.
So
I just want to get that out there, so for people to look for you guys and help you out with the donations
Yes,
and stuff,
yes.
because I'm out of time. You know, and I do appreciate everything you guys have done and are still doing. But I've got to say goodbye, Wally. So
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
My very, very pleasure.
And my good friend, it's always good seeing you. So to all our veterans out there and our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. This is our 4th year at Lakefront TV. We're still looking for guests, and we'd love to have you on. We're proud of what we've done in the past. So give us a call at 352-728-9707 and check us out on the internet at lakefronttv.com. Spread the word and enjoy the show.